Hey guys, so today we're looking at lesson 12.8. It's our last lesson in topic 12. So just keep that in mind. You will notice that if you got the paper packets, like if you picked those up, you have the reteaching pages, and you also have the red assessment pages. So those will be, I think I mentioned this in a previous video. The red pages at least will be like an actual test, but you're taking it at home, obviously. But I do trust you to try and complete as much of it on your own as you possibly can. And the reteaching pages, after you complete those, we will have a review of them and basically do like a live Zoom meeting talking about the answers for those and how to solve each one of those problems. Um, but I also will have a video like just giving the answers for it, and then I'll go into explanations more and take individual questions over Zoom. Um, so lesson 12.8 is make sense and persevere. So again, just like we have to see like is there the right kind of information? Does the problem make sense? Like again, that's why it says make sense right here. Um, and for persevere, like not to get like super frustrated, just like to keep moving through the problem and trying to solve it, even if we get frustrated by it. And it goes right into our I can statement, which is I can make sense of problems and keep working if I get stuck. So I know sometimes when we get stuck on a problem, we just want to give up because we're frustrated by it and we think that might be easier, but we're just cheating ourselves if we do that. So we're going to work on trying to push through the problem. So getting started on our solve and share, I get my pen ready today, so maybe I'll be more on top of it. Marcus, Mariah, and Tony painted a mural. They divided it into equal parts. Marcus painted 2 parts, Mariah painted 3 parts, and Tony painted the rest. What fraction of the mural did each student paint? Decide if this problem has any missing or extra information. If information you need is missing, make up the reasonable information and then solve the problem. So right off the bat, and I'll try and switch colors. Okay, we're going to do red for Marcus. It tells us that Marcus painted 2 parts. And we'll do blue for Mariah. It tells us that she painted 3 parts. And then we'll do green-ish for Tony. And it just tells us that Tony painted the rest. So when they say here, oh, is there any missing information? Yeah, it doesn't tell us how many exact pieces Tony painted. But we are just going to start, and we're just going to use squares. I think that would be the simplest way to go about this. So we have to look at, they tell us first with Marcus in red, he painted 2 parts. So I'm going to draw 2 parts of what could be a whole shape. And they should line up more or less, but we get it. It's not perfect. That's okay. And then Mariah painted 3 parts. And remember, all of our parts need to be the same size. And so she painted 3. And then it says Tony painted the rest. So I'm going to add in green a square here. Then I'm going to add 2 more here. So then that Tony painted 3, Mariah painted 3, and that Marcus painted 2. So I could have just left it also without these 2 on the side, but I just wanted to show you that painting the rest of it could be more than just 1 square. So just go with me on this. So the number of parts the students divided the mural into was missing. So it doesn't tell us how many parts there were altogether, and it doesn't tell us how many parts that Tony painted. So it says they may have divided it, or they might have divided it into 8 parts. So that's why I have 8 parts total. It also could have been they may have divided it in 6 parts if you even wanted to add 2 more on the side, and then having Tony have he sorry, then would have painted 5 parts. That's fine too, but don't go overboard if you don't have to, okay? Especially for this, we want to keep it simple and we want to be able to make sure that we understand the problem and that if someone else looks at it, they can understand the problem. Um, and I'm just going to do all of the fractions for each shape in purple. We'll do it in purple. So I don't have to keep like going back, but I'm just going to say for who it's for. So remember, if there are 8 parts altogether, that number goes on the bottom. And I know I have 3 people, so I'm just going to do all of the bottoms first, all of the denominators first. Okay, so I have all of my denominators ready to go. So for Marcus, how many pieces did he paint out of 8? 2. So Marcus would be 2/8, not 2/8, not 2/8, not 2/8, like just pause, 2/8. And then Mariah painted 3/8 of the mural, and Tony painted 3/8 of the mural. And obviously, this is just my example that I'm giving you. If you chose to use other numbers by adding more of what Tony painted, then that's fine as well. If you're watching this before you are solving this independently, please try and add either more or take away these two just so I know that you're understanding what I'm talking about and you aren't just copying exactly what I have here. The thinking habits, I'm just going to read these. So thinking habits, be a good thinker. So what questions can we ask to help us? These questions can help you. What do I need to find? What do I know? What's my plan for solving the problem? What else can I try if I get stuck? How can I check that my solution makes sense? So not like all the time are all of these questions going to apply to every single problem. But for this one, I'll do a couple. So what do I need to find? I needed to find how many parts Tony painted, and then I also needed to find what fraction of the mural did each student paint, like individually. What do I know? I knew that Marcus painted 2 parts, Mariah painted 3 parts, and that Tony painted the rest. What's my plan for solving the problem? My plan was to draw out the mural and draw out the parts of the mural according to the information that I was given to then solve for how many pieces Tony painted to then decide the fraction that they each painted. What else can I try if I get stuck? I can try rereading the problem. I can try drawing it in a different way. I could try and use counters or maybe different shapes to fill this out. I can use grid paper, like graph paper that we use for graphs and for just like what that we use for area and showing it as little fraction pieces instead. How can I check that my solution makes sense? For this one, since there isn't a definite answer because I could have had a different denominator, but how can I check that my solution makes sense? I'll go back and double check. So I know Marcus painted 2 parts, so his fraction is 2/8. I know Mariah painted 3 parts, and her fraction is then 3/8. And I decided that Tony painted 3 parts. And again, it could have been like 1 part, more than 3 parts. So his fraction is 3/8 as well. For down here, what information was not given in the problem? How did you still solve the problem? So I've already mentioned this. I'm not going to write anything, but I'm just going to restate it. So what information was not given in the problem? The information that was not given in the problem was the amount of parts that Tony painted. How did you still solve the problem? I still solved the problem by using the information that they had given me to decide how many parts Tony painted in order to have a whole mural. Okay, I am going to go to the next page. I don't know if I'm not going to try and erase it. I want to see if this stays if I go to the next page or if it does stay. Good to know. So we're going to clear our page and move down a bit. Our essential question on this page is, how can you make sense of a problem and persevere in solving it? So again, just what can we do to continue trying to solve a problem? our little question or its problem here says Suki divides her garden into 6 equal parts. She plants daisies, roses, and violets. It takes Suki 1 hour to plant the flowers. She plants daisies in one part, roses in 2 parts, and violets in the rest of the garden. In what fraction of the garden does Suki plant violets? So here, after we read, because this is like a lot of information, like it is 3 complete sentences, and well, 4 including the question, but 3 complete sentences of information. So if I look at this, I just see a lot of words. But just like for everything else, I want to pay attention to the numbers that have to go with the question. So the question is, in what fraction of the garden do Suki plant violets? I don't need to know about an hour because that's not a part of the garden. It's just telling me a time value. Daisies, 1 part. Roses in 2 parts. Violets in the rest. So just like on the page before this, they gave us 2 of the known numbers. And then the rest is just what they have given us. But it also helps because we know that there are 6 equal parts altogether. Here it says, for what is a good plan for solving the problem? I need to make sense of the given information. I need to think about what I can use to help me solve the problem. So what can I use? I can use the information that they've given me. Everything that I underlined in orange is what I can use and what you can use to solve the problem. To persevere, you can check your strategy and your work. So how can you check it? Well, right here, they already have the daisies filled out. So then I can draw in 2 more sections of roses, and then the rest of the space that would be available, I know would have to be taken up by violets. B, how can I make sense and solve this problem? So for this like strategy, these steps for these I can statements, these can apply to almost every problem, equation, whatever that you're faced with. Like, what information do you know? What's the question that they're asking? What do you have to answer? So I can identify the quantities given. I identified all the numbers, quantities, numbers, amounts, all the same thing. Understand which quantities are needed to solve the problem. Like I said already, look at all the ones that are talking about parts. Like, I don't need the 1 hour. That's a quantity that was given, but I don't need it to solve this problem. Choose and implement an appropriate strategy. I said that I can draw this and like fill in the other parts according to what the information they gave us is. And then check to make sure my work and answer makes sense. So after I would finish filling it in, is it 1 out of 6 parts that daisies take up? Is it 2 out of 6 parts that roses take up? And then how much would violets be taking up? So this girl over here says, here's my thinking. 1 hour to plant the flowers is not needed to solve the problem. Boom. We already said that. I used a picture to help. Boom. We said that. Okay. Drawing, picture, same thing. Suki plants daisies and roses in 3 equal parts. There are 3 parts left for violets because the daisies are right here, roses are here, and roses are here. Sorry, I tried to do like, I ended up just filling them all in orange anyway. I was trying to do like a different design in it, but it's not working, which is fine. So 1, 2, 3 left. So how much is taken up by violets? 3 out of 6, 3/6 of the shape, 3/6 of the garden. There's 3 copies of 1/6 is 3/6. Again, there are 3 1/6. There's 3 of them. There's 6 pieces total. So Suki plants violets in 3/6 of the garden. Okay, just gonna move down a little bit. How can you check to make sure? Sorry, make sense and persevere. How can you check to make sure the work and answer given above makes sense? So again, I can go back and check and double check the information that they have given me, make sure I use the correct numbers, that all the numbers are talking about the same thing. So like if they were to say, well, how many dogs are there like in this part of the yard? Okay. If they talk about cats, you're not going to need to use that. Like, we're not asking about cats. It's just really about dogs. Like for here, they're just talking about flowers and the parts of the garden. They're not talking about how long it's taking. Like, that part doesn't matter. Like I said, and that we said again down here. So, and the picture matches, and then I can double check my picture. The picture matches the information that was given up here. The garden has 6 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3/6 shows the number of copies of 1/6 for parts of violets. So again, just how many parts of violets are there? There are 3, 1, 2, 3, and how many parts are all together? 6. I'm gonna clear my page and move on. Feel free to go back at any point throughout the video and pause if you need it. Okay. And here is the last page for this. Since I already see the word explain right here, I know I'm just giving a verbal answer. I may just highlight, like underline some of the information that's important, but I may not be writing a lot on this page, just a heads up. So, and these are just when I give the answers for 1 through 5. I was going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you get the point. For all of the ones on this page, they're just sample answers. If you have something else, but you give a good explanation for it, and like you don't just put something and it's the wrong answer, like you give me an explanation as to why you thought that is the answer, of course, I will give you credit for it because you're giving me an explanation, even if it doesn't match what I'm about to say. So this makes sense and persevere sandwich. I just read the word sandwich. Make sense and persevere problem says Kira and Matt cut a sandwich into 4 equal parts. They each ate 1 part. Kira is 9 years old. Matt is the same age as Kira. What fraction of the sandwich is not eaten? And I'm underlining that already. I got a little ahead of myself, but that's okay. Kira is 9 and Matt is the same age as Kira. Congratulations, that's great for them, but we don't need it. And here it says if you are stuck, you can persevere. Think, I can try different numbers. Can I try different numbers? Oh, okay. Is there any missing or extra information to explain? So the extra information that's given that we do not need is their ages. That information we don't need. So I'm just going to cross it off. Feel free to do the same thing. Don't need it. Goodbye. No thanks. So that's all I have to put there. The extra information is, and then saying that they gave their ages. Number 2 says solve the problem. If information you need is missing, make up some reasonable information for the problem. So I'm going to draw a picture on the side. This is my sandwich, perfectly square for whatever reason. It's in 4 equal parts. So it can look like, pretend that that's super equal. And I'm also going to draw another one. It could look like this. It doesn't have to be like perfect, but as long as your parts are basically the same size when you're drawing it, that's great. Feel free to use a ruler. If you choose to draw pictures for any of this at all, obviously you don't have to unless it tells you to. So your parts are actually exactly the same size. So for solving the problem, the sandwich is in 4 equal parts, which I have in my 2 sandwich examples over here. So each part is 1/4. So you want to look at our unit fractions. So this is 1/4, and I'm just going to do it on, I'm just working with this shape here. I'm not going to do it on the one right here. I just want to give you that option if you chose to draw. Okay, so 1/4 for each of them. It then says that it told me that, where did you start? They each ate 1 part. So they each ate 1 part. Kira ate 1 part. Kira ate this. And Matt ate 1 part as well. They each ate 1 part themselves. So when they're saying what fraction of the sandwich is not eaten to solve this problem, I know that 2/4 were eaten, but also 2/4 were not eaten. 1/4, another fourth gives me 2/4. 2 out of 4 pieces are left. So our answer, 2/4. And oh, that is not a good circle. It's fine. Okay, we're going to move on to 3 through 4. Again, making sense, make sense and persevere, same thing. So Marnie planted a vegetable garden. She put lettuce in one part, carrots in four parts, and broccoli in the rest of her garden. In what fraction of the garden did Marnie plant broccoli? So she put lettuce in one part, carrots in four parts, broccoli in the rest of her garden. So like most of the problems that you'll be looking at when we're talking about like for lesson 12.8 and like in the review section as well, I'm pretty sure they'll say like, oh, and the rest of her garden. So it's basically like you need to decide in order to make it a full shape and a full like fraction amount, like a full thing like I did here. And on the other problems, you just have to decide how much more you want to add to the shape. So that's like, it's your decision. That's your choice. That's what you get to control. So in what fraction of the garden did Marnie plant broccoli? So you have to figure out the broccoli. Is there any missing or extra information? So it doesn't tell us how many parts are in the entire garden. Like it doesn't tell me it's a garden of 5 parts, a garden of 10 parts, a garden of 6 parts. It doesn't tell me how many parts are there altogether. So the missing information is that the problem does not say how many total equal parts there are in the garden. And like go back if you need to hear me say it again. Number 4 says solve the problem. If information you need is missing, make up some reasonable information for the problem. So again, this is the part you get to control. And I know I did different colors from the ones before, but I'm just going to do it all in like a magenta color. So I'm going to draw for this as well because it's easier for me to explain it that way, and I think it's helpful. So she put lettuce in one part. I'm going to stick with squares again. I'm going to do my drawings over here because it's more space. Okay, that's my lettuce. I'll put an L in it so we know. Carrots in 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and carrots all here. And then broccoli in the rest of her garden. I don't like broccoli, so I'm just going to do 1. Yes, I could have done 1 here and like 2 more, 4 more, however many more I honestly wanted to do because that's the part I get to decide. So what fraction of the garden did Marnie plant broccoli? Well, I need to count how many parts there are all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 parts altogether. So that is my denominator, and broccoli takes up one of those parts. So 1/6 of the garden is where Marnie plants broccoli. 1/6. That's it. For number 5, can you use a different number of parts and still solve the problem? Explain. Yes, because like I said, this is the part you get to control. Yes, because I got to decide how many parts of the garden broccoli was planted in. Or yes, because I got to make up the reasonable information to solve the problem, and I could have added as many parts of broccoli as I wanted to. It could have been however much you wanted to add. Like I said, I don't like broccoli, so I only added 1. So that is it for 12.8. I actually liked this one a lot. That was kind of fun to do. If you didn't, that's okay. Like, that's fine. But when you submit your work, let me know that you watched this video because you have to. And also, some of you still haven't been watching them, I don't think. So like, please do that. I'd rather have you like submit work late and have the videos watched than have no idea what we're doing for math and just submit the work and have it all be incorrect because you just wanted to get it over with. I'm making these videos to help. And if they aren't helpful to you, like if you watch it and it's still not making sense, please let me know. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we will be going over the reteaching page in my next video. The reteaching pages, sorry, it's 4 pages. So it will be a longer video. I may break it up into 2. I haven't decided yet. And if you looked on like the lesson plans from school, like if mom or dad's been checking those, there's a part for math that says extra work. It is the orange and purple page. It's like a little game. And then the vocabulary review, it is extra, so it's extra credit if you complete it. It's completely optional. There will be a space for you to submit it on Google Classroom, and just keep an eye out for my announcements this week because we're going to be doing some more live sessions, um, and we're going to try out some new formats like user programs, I guess I should say, like Google Meet and Google Hangout. But yeah, since I went on in the end of this video because I didn't want to make a post on Google Classroom just yet for this, I'll give you another extra point of extra credit if you're still listening now. So just tell me that you watched the entire video, like literally put Miss Bolin, I watched the entire video when you submit it, and I'll make sure to give it to you because you were patient enough to listen this long. Okay, bye guys.